Hitchhiking for Star.
Just over a year ago, I called up my MIT Sloan professor, Bill Ouellette, and my good friend Tim Rowe, and asked what the city could do to support and encourage entrepreneurship. From that very first brainstorming session just over a year ago to today, this whole process has just been like a snowball rolling downhill, picking up momentum, picking up people. And now the energy has landed right here in the heart of innovation, Kendall Square.
I think I'm preaching to the converted here, but I just want to say a couple of words about Kendall Square. This is really an amazing place. First of all, I get, and I'm sure many of you receive visitors from all over the world and they ask about this place, and there are just a few things that I want to ask you to communicate to them. Boston Consulting Group did a study looking at startups, the output of all that research and development. They looked at how many startups are there everywhere. They found the second densest cluster of startups in the world was a well-known place, Palo Alto. Really terrific place. They have something like 36 venture-backed startups in healthcare and IT in Palo Alto. It's great. And then they looked at the numbers for Kendall Square, and they found that we have 168 venture-backed startups per square mile here.
Culture is what drives entrepreneurship. And you could summarize what this is about in 13 words. Youth are great imitators, so why not give them something great to imitate? And that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to give them role models, and we're going to tell the stories of 7 iconic individuals who changed the world. This is not about the idea people. This is not about the people who funded them. This is about those intrepid individuals who went out and believed when other people weren't sure, and they made it happen.
Entrepreneurialism in those days didn't just occur. No one goes out and simply says, okay, today I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurialism in those days was a patriotic duty. Mark Twain had it, Thomas Edison had it, a whole bunch of Americans of that generation had it. And they knew that by creating better products to make a better world, and by determining things people needed and bringing them to market, they were doing what an egalitarian democracy does best. And that's allow everybody to take their own place in the sun and to profit from it and to serve others at the same time. Yes, these guys were all idealists.
At the tender age of 28, Bob got on the phone and cold called Herb Boyer, a professor at UCSF who was in the thick of developing recombinant DNA technology. Boyer agreed to give this young entrepreneur 10 minutes of his time, a typical response of an academic. The meeting, which took place in the spring of 1976, lasted 3 hours. By the end of it, the world's first biotechnology company, Genentech, was born, and the biotechnology industry was launched.
It's 1938. They are in their fabled one-car garage, 18 by 12 feet, Addison Avenue, ground zero of the electronic age in Silicon Valley. Later in life, Dave Packard said, "Can we stop talking about the damn garage? I'm sick of it." But what they really developed was a new form of management, a management that put people ahead of a lot of the processes. The philosophy was, our most important resource is the brain power of our employees. They were not hippy-dippies. They were hard-headed businessmen. Management by objectives, all these were things that they did. Were they aggressive? Yeah. Were they competitive? Certainly. But they built a super competitive, adaptive company. What they really taught us, when you think about it, is how to build a fast-growing technology company.
You know, if you start a company from scratch, you know, there's some risk in that.
But if you take a successful business, one that's a multi-billion-dollar business is throwing off huge amounts of profit, and you say, let's create something new that's going to destroy that old thing and hope that the new thing will be bigger and better, that takes immense courage. And that's why most companies don't do it, and that's why most companies don't become Apple. And the most amazing example of this to me is that right now Steve Jobs and Apple are destroying the PC revolution that Apple basically led. The guy who basically invented the personal computer is now killing the PC in order to usher in what he calls the post-PC era. That relentless push to the future is, to me, what entrepreneurship is all about.
What about Bill is it that we want future entrepreneurs to emulate? What should they learn from him? Include opportunity for others in your vision and in your business model. See your industry as bigger than just your company and advocate on its behalf. Bill's vision included others who use Microsoft products as a component for building companies that could grow quite large, spawning many billion-dollar businesses and an entire industry. Explicitly creating tools for others to build upon is in the DNA of his company. Something else is his tenacity. Even at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. Microsoft is infamous for getting it right in version 3, not in version 1. Some of their ventures took years and years to bear fruit. Bill is always in it for the long haul to fulfill his grand vision, not looking for a short-term flip. Finally, if society is set up so that your ideas, skills, and business style result in a lot of money, feel obligated to include using that success to help society.
I recently looked at a 1982 version of the Lotus business plan before we actually closed our venture capital round, certainly before we launched the product. And right there on page 1, I had 5 goals, and the goal number 5 was to, I want to get the quote right. Yes, it was to build an extremely progressive workplace. We did a bunch of things, and these are the kinds of things that had long-term impact that people still come up to me and talk about, saying that it made a difference. We took employees very seriously. We had lots of different kinds of communication channels. We had a grapevine. We actually handled people who wanted to say things anonymously to take in complaints, so we created some safety if they wanted to do that. We did an annual survey of workplace culture, and I would give a report on what we found about what people said about what it was like to work there. Startups continue to undervalue the importance of culture, the importance of paying attention to the people dimension of the business, and inevitably wind up paying a price for it. I hope that Lotus, the culture we had, the commitment of the employees at the company to live that, and the legacy that left will be the inspiration that people will think of when they look at that star. So thank you so much for this honor. Thank you all for coming out.
Ready? Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now everybody cheer!